Okay, I think I left off. Let's see. Oh, so yes, he moved to London. His marriage wasn't great. He didn't really go home to visit his wife. He didn't really like his wife, which, ugh. And then he actually, like in his will, look at this. It says he willed Anne his second best bed. Everything else went to his daughters. So he just didn't really enjoy his wife, which is kind of sad. But anyway, he's not King Henry VIII with 6 wives. So, but he became very wealthy in his lifetime, which was he was able to. This was cool, buy his family's coat of arms and the largest estate in Stratford, where he was from. So that's pretty cool. Also, a lot of writers or artists in general tend to not be wealthy in their own time. So it's pretty incredible that he was. And then his patrons included Sir Henry Wriothesley and King James I. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, Shakespeare's career. He wrote 38 plays. He often wrote comedies, tragedies, histories, and romances. Not what you think, okay? Romances can be defined as a lot of different things. You might be romanticizing an event. It's not necessarily a romantic relationship between two people. He revived Greek comedies and tragedies, so that's where he kind of got his inspiration for what he wrote. Some plays even dealt with ancient Roman subjects and most took place in Italy. So he wrote a play called Julius Caesar, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. He also wrote 154 sonnets, and remember, sonnets are poems, several narrative poems, and they were all dedicated to Sir Henry. He also was an actor, writer, and businessman, so he was very active and didn't just do one thing. He became known for his imaginative use of language and timelessness. Now, this is a big one because a lot of things that he wrote about, or the way he wrote, and had never been done before, which is really cool. Timelessness. It's 2019. His career was in the 16th and 17th century, and we still are actively involved in what he wrote, which is that's just so cool. He's just relevant still. He wrote about things that can connect with people even hundreds of years after he lived. He developed what's called iambic pentameter, so it's talking like this in a rhythm. Okay. So when you read things from Shakespeare, like direct quotes from it, it's usually in that rhythm, iambic pentameter. And then he popularized theater to both nobles and commoners alike. I read something that was saying that even the people who were super poor could go to plays and they would like stand in the front. So I thought that was interesting as well. Ooh, another brain break. So this is, okay, again, we're back off the river, and we're back in Canyonlands National Park and hanging out. This top picture with the people sitting on the sidewalk, I like that because we're like all reading our books and just chilling. You can kind of see me. I'm in the second white hat in the back. And then actually this bottom picture in the right is one of my favorite pictures. That girl, her name is Ava. And it's really cool to see her. Sorry.
I could come back.
All right. Sorry about that. So, let's see. Okay. This is the Globe. This is a reconstructed version of the Globe Theatre in London. The original one burned down. But this is where Shakespeare's plays would be played, acted out. It was an open air. Plays were in the afternoon. The theater was built in a round shape. They used simple costumes and props, and then all the actors were male. So it didn't matter what the character was. All the actors were male. And then, again, all social classes attended plays. Poor people just stood in the front. So interesting environment. I would love to get to watch a play in the Globe Theatre. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, 38 plays, including Julius Caesar, Hamlet, and Romeo and Juliet. So we're going to talk about those 3 plays really quick because you need to know each of them. There are questions either on both the quiz and the exam where you have to know these 3 plays, okay? And you don't need to know everything that they're about, but you need to know the general idea of them. So, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, 1599. So remember, we just talked about the Ides of March, and that is what this play is about, okay? It's about Shakespeare. This is going to bug me if I don't fix this, so I got to fix this. Why does it do that, guys? Okay. Look, it shows me in the corner too right now. I don't know how to make this work better, but I apologize. Okay, so Julius Caesar is Shakespeare's account of the Roman general Julius Caesar's murder by his friend Brutus and a meditation on duty. Okay? It was first performed around 1599 when English royal succession was uncertain, right? Remember, this is about 4 years before Queen Elizabeth dies, and they don't know who it's going to be, right? They don't know who is going to be the next monarch. So Julius Caesar confronts the dangers of political turmoil, okay? 2 of the most famous lines from that play are, "Beware the Ides of March," and then the second one is "Et tu, Brute?" Then "Fall Caesar." Okay, so both of which I've heard and I've never read or seen this play. Okay, so that's Julius Caesar. So when I talk about these, I know nothing is in red or blue, but you need to make sure you write down just a general idea so you have an idea of what the play is about. Okay, Shakespeare's Hamlet, 1600. Hamlet, first performed around 1600, Hamlet tells the story of a prince whose duty to revenge his father's death entangles him in psychological problems he can't solve. Shakespeare's best-known play is widely regarded as the most influential literary work ever written. Okay, so Hamlet is about Hamlet, and he just wrestles. He has a lot of internal struggle. So remember, if you're in my language arts class, we talked about different kinds of conflict, and this is definitely, Hamlet goes through a lot of character versus self. So some of the more famous lines in this play are, "A little more than kin and less than kind." And then the next one says, "To be or not to be? That is the question." Maybe one of the most famous Shakespeare lines, "To be or not to be? That is the question." Okay, so that's Hamlet. And then last but certainly not least, we have Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, first performed in 1596. So Romeo and Juliet is Shakespeare's play about the doomed romance of 2 teenagers from feuding families. Okay, it's the most famous love story ever written. First performed around 1596, Romeo and Juliet has been adapted as a ballet, an opera. The musical West Side Story is based on this, and it's a dozen films. Like, it is so popular. There's lots of different things about Romeo and Juliet. Again, it's still a very compelling story. And then 2 of the more famous lines both come from Juliet, and it says, "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" And then the next one says, "What's in a name? That which we call a rose. By any other word would smell as sweet." So those are 2 lines that I know from, they're very famous lines. So good stuff from Romeo and Juliet. Okay, so words and phrases. So these are I told you about this yesterday. These are some of the words and phrases that Shakespeare is responsible for coming up with. A Brave New World. I don't know if that really, for you, is connecting, but for me, I know that that's a very common thing to say. Break the ice. Refuse to budge an inch. Dead as a doornail. A dish fit for the gods. That's a good one. Eaten me out of house and home. For goodness sake. Heart of gold. Kill him with kindness. This is my favorite. I had no idea. Knock, knock. Who's there? That's from Macbeth. And Macbeth is a very interesting play as well. And then Wear my heart upon my sleeve from Othello. And as I said, Othello is one of my favorites. And then I told some of you yesterday, but from Romeo and Juliet, A Wild Goose Chase. So hopefully you've heard one or multiple of those before, but those all come from Shakespeare.